The Philippine Navy spotted the presence of 2 Chinese Navy vessels while U.S. and Philippine troops conducted joint patrols in the West Philippine Sea last Friday, February 9. Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore Roy Vincent Trinidad, says that the 2 People's Liberation Army Navy ships appeared to be monitoring the latest maritime cooperative activity between Manila and Washington. Trinidad adds that aside from the 2 Chinese vessels, there were no other uninvited guests during the U.S.-Philippines military exercise. The Navy spokesperson did not further elaborate on the type of Chinese warship present in the area last Friday. The previous joint patrols of Manila and Washington also saw the presence of Chinese vessels and aircraft. Beijing's actions are in line with its assertion of sovereignty over almost the entire South China Sea, including most of the western section of Manila's exclusive economic zone. However, an international tribunal ruling in 2016 effectively dismissed the sweeping claim. The Department of Foreign Affairs criticizes the claims of Chinese Consul General Zhang Zhen, belittling the arbitral ruling that favors the Philippines' position on the West Philippine Sea. During a visit to Iloilo City on February 8, the Chinese Consul General said that China would never accept the Hague ruling, asserting that its supposed ownership of almost the entire South China Sea, including the West Philippine Sea, is purportedly based on historical and legal facts. She adds that the arbitral ruling on the West Philippine Sea is null and void. The DFA, however, says it takes serious exception to the diplomat's remarks, saying that the Chinese official statement was a misrepresentation of law and facts. The DFA stresses that both the Philippines and China are parties to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas. The DFA adds that they consistently call on China to abide by its obligations under UNCLOS and the 2016 Arbitral Award on the South China Sea. The July 2016 arbitral decision at The Hague invalidated the claims of China over the South China Sea, even stating that the Philippines has exclusive sovereign rights over the West Philippine Sea. Amid the World War, the Philippine Coast Guard has continued to report harassment from its Chinese counterpart while conducting regular resupply missions to the country's military outposts in the West Philippine Sea. The alleged proponent behind the signature campaign for charter change attends the Senate committee hearing on electoral reforms and people's participation. The Senate panel has summoned lawyer Anthony Abad over his alleged involvement in the People's Initiative to amend the 1987 Constitution. Abad's name is supposedly written in the forms used for the signature campaign. During the hearing, Abad apologized to Filipinos who were promised financial aid in exchange for their signature used in the People's Initiative for charter change. In the same hearing, Abad questions why his name was the only one written on the forms. According to him, he would have preferred that all names of the proponents were there, but he likewise justified that it was printed without their names to shorten it. Abad says other proponents include former Congressman Alfredo Garbin Jr. and People's Initiative for Reform, Modernization and Action lead convener Noel Oñate. Abad adds that he was not really a part of People's Initiative for Reform, Modernization and Action, explaining that his role is to be the organization's advisor on constitutional reform if the petition ever prospers. On the other hand, PIRMA confirmed that Abad is one of their volunteer lawyers and one of the pioneers of the People's Initiative. The Philippine National Police says all bomb threats that hit various government offices nationwide on February 12 were a hoax. In a statement, PNP says they have determined that all of the incidents can be traced back to a single email sender named Takahiro Karasawa, who identified himself as a Japanese lawyer. An initial investigation of the anti-cybercrime group indicated that the bomb threats were connected to the ones that occurred in September, October, and December 2023. The PNP adds that concerned government agencies have met to formulate a comprehensive strategy to address or stop the repeat of hoax threats. Meanwhile, the Department of Information and Communications Technology Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center is now working with the government of Japan to investigate the series of bomb hoaxes in different government agencies. The Bureau of Immigration has likewise started their investigation. On Monday, bomb threats disrupted the daily schedule of offices such as the Department of Environment and Natural Resources and the Department of Science and Technology in Quezon City, the Department of Education in Bataan, and the local government of Iba, Zambales. Militant labor group Kilosang Mayo Uno hits government officials and members of the House of Representatives who oppose the proposed 100 peso legislated wage hike. On Monday, lawmakers in the lower chamber of Congress expressed concern that micro, small, and medium enterprises would struggle if a Senate bill proposing the wage hike is enacted into law. The KMU says the government officials have no heart for laborers, adding that using MSMEs is a tired excuse against the wage increase. Albay's 2nd District Representative Joey Salceda explains that the wage hike may be a good policy if it applies only to big companies and not on MSMEs, as larger corporations can afford additional pay for their employees. KMU Secretary General Jerome Adonis says that there are more laborers working in big corporations compared to MSMEs, adding that the labor group is also campaigning for a wage subsidy to assist small businesses in giving additional wages. The labor group leader adds that instead of bickering over charter change, the two chambers of Congress must unite to enact a national minimum wage based on family living wage levels. On February 7, Senate Bill number 2534, which seeks a 100 peso daily minimum wage hike for private sector workers, reached the Senate floor. This was lauded by labor leader and lawyer Sonny Matula, who says that an increase in laborers' wages would give them more purchasing power, which would further stimulate the country's economy. But Marikina's 2nd District Representative Stella Kimbo explains that the proposed wage increase may instead cause a cost-push inflation, since companies would only make their goods more expensive to cover for the increased expense of paying its employees. The Department of Agriculture says President Bongbong Marcos is seriously thinking about the proposal to give rice instead of cash to beneficiaries of the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program. Department of Agriculture Undersecretary Roger Navarro says the suggestion was made during a meeting between the President and agriculture officials. Under the suggestion, instead of cash, 4-piece cash subsidy can be converted in a rice form supplied by the National Food Authority. When asked about the President's reaction to the proposal, Navarro responded,
"The President is saying that we will consider the proposal, and they will take a look on how to implement this proposal."
Navarro explains that the proposal will take out the 4-piece bracket and may spare recipients from the effects of volatile rice markets, since they also buy the food staple using their cash grant.
And we're giving them money, and unfortunately, because that is not rice, they're going to buy rice in the market price, and that put pressure and inflationary in the market, because they're going to compete with the people who have money.
INQUIRER.net has reached out to the Department of Social Welfare and Development for a reaction, but it has yet to respond.